Backstage with Mothership on Solid Rock Radio begins now. Hear the best in new music, artist interviews, stories from the road, and more. You are now backstage, and here's your host, Mothership.
Hey everyone, my good friend Tate Olsen is on my show tonight. Now you may not recognize his name, but you probably know who he is. Tate is the rocking cellist for the band Skillet and the creator of an instrumental project called Cello Forte. I want you to get to know him tonight. Thanks for being here, and let's jump right in. Hey Tate, how you doing?
Doing great, Cindy. How are you?
Long time no see, since last March.
Yeah, it has been a long time. I think that's probably one of the longer times it's been since we've seen each other, actually.
Yeah, we usually see each other a couple times a year, at least.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's usually, 2 or 3 would be my guess, our average. It was weird not seeing you at Wild Adventures, like always.
What year was this been? 10 or 11?
Yeah, something like that. It's been a long run, that's for sure.
Well, I wanted to get you on here because I know a lot of people see you on the stage, but they don't really know that much about you. There's a lot more to you than just playing the cello. How long have you been playing?
Well, at the risk of exposing my age here, it has been quite a long time. I started in 3rd grade. That would have been 1990, and now it is 2020. So I've been playing cello for 30 years.
That is a long time.
I know. Put the numbers together and go, wow, that is a long time.
Do you come from a musical family?
Both my parents played in high school, band, that sort of thing. Nothing professionally or at the college level, that sort of thing. However, both my brothers are musicians as well. My older brother's performing full time, and my younger brother still works in the music industry, just not as a performer currently.
How did you pick that instrument?
Funny story. So my parents, when we were young, went to the Pittsburgh Symphony, and they had what's called a musical instrument petting zoo, for lack of a better term, at like one of those kids concerts that they do. There was a chance to try different instruments and see kind of what you naturally gravitated towards. I picked up a bow, which is, what you use to pull the strings with your right hand. And I had a fairly natural gravitation grab on the bow. Getting the other hand to work as well as the right hand worked took a little longer, a lot longer, in fact. But that was, So I tried it at a Pittsburgh Symphony youth concert.
It just fit, huh? Were your parents thrilled with the fact that you picked such a large instrument?
Well, my older brother plays flute. So, it was quite a transition from flute and piccolo to cello.
Did you go to school and take classes, or how did you actually learn?
So I did take orchestra and that sort of thing at my public school all throughout middle and high school. Studied privately with a number of teachers over the years. And then I eventually went to college for a degree in cello. And then ultimately I actually ended up with a master's in arts management as well. When I was finishing my undergraduate degree in performance at Carnegie Mellon, where I was going to school, there was an option to do in 1 extra year. I could get a master's in arts management, which is basically an MBA, but with a focus on nonprofit work. So working with symphony orchestras or performing arts centers, that sort of thing. So I felt like it gave me a lot of ability to manage myself, in addition to being able to work for other organizations and have that extra skill set.
Did you ever play like with your home church?
Oh, yeah. Up until I was in high school, I always thought that I probably would be pursuing an orchestral job. Playing in a symphony somewhere. And then once I got into college, I started playing in church praise bands and that sort of thing. Started really gravitating towards finding a niche outside of the standard, what do you do with a music degree jobs? Because for those of the listeners who don't know, the symphony orchestra world, it's a very small job pool.
Right.
I mean, on any given year, you may have 5, major symphony orchestra cello positions open up, and that's a big year. Obviously there's more regional orchestras, that sort of thing. But at the really high level orchestras, there's not that many jobs that come available every year. So I've always been a little bit outside of the mold, so to speak, that I like being able to, make my own decisions and do my own thing. I started playing in praise bands and doing that. And then I'd always loved cello ensemble playing with multiple cellos. I feel like it's one of those instruments that has the ability to cover all of the ranges, from all the way to those low bass notes all the way to the high stuff. And everything in between. And so I started actually a cello ensemble called Cello Forte, which was a 4-piece cello band with 4 music majors playing. And we played anywhere from, battles of the bands at dive bars all the way up to, we actually soloed with the Pittsburgh Symphony on one of their Pops concerts. And so anything in between, so school assemblies and that sort of stuff. And yeah, that was the way the door opened to be able to see what else was available and out there for me to do.
So you woke up one morning and you said, you know what, I really love to play a cello at a rock band, right?
That's pretty much it. But,
how did Skillet find you, and how did you find Skillet?
So in the course of my musical studies, I had actually gone to some summer music festivals where it'd be 4 weeks long or 6 weeks long, something like that. And you would be playing an orchestra, you'd be studying privately with different teachers than your normal teacher, and just a different perspective. One of the festivals that I went to was called the Masterworks Festival. And it was a Christian performing arts festival. So it was all Christians with, a spiritual aspect to the work. The way I got a call from Skillet was that all the way back when I was about 14, I was at a music festival studying cello and playing cello in an orchestra situation there. And some of the faculty at the time were actually Ben Cassica's parents, who... as a lot of you guys know, Ben was the guitar player for Skillet for, I don't remember exactly when he started. I would say 2002, maybe. I got to know Ben long before he was in Skillet, probably three years before he was in Skillet, something like that. And he was, just hanging out because his parents were there teaching. And we became friends and kept in touch. And as I started cello forte and started playing, I sent him music, and Skillet always liked having strings on the records and stuff, but it just didn't make sense to bring them out live. When they finally got to a point where it made sense, and they called me.
Mm-hmm. How did the decision to make that more permanent happen?
It just happened pretty naturally that it was a good fit. I mean, I think you've talked to enough people who've been on the road to know that, there's certain personality types that work well together. And if you're going to stay on the road with a single group of people for a long time, you got to be able to fit into what's already happening in that group of people. You're living with and working with and hanging out with. In a normal job, you can go home at the end of the day and see different people. In this industry, that's not an option. I mean, you spend at least as much time with the people you work with as you do with your family. It just sort of happened naturally is what I'd say, that we just kept playing together, and they kept asking me to play, and I kept showing up. So
all of a sudden you're touring. What is that kind of life change like?
It's an interesting change, that's for sure. At the time, I wasn't married and, didn't have a daughter or anything like that. So, I definitely had less responsibility in that sense. And it was a little easier to just be able to say, you know what, let's give it a shot and see if this is something I want to do. If that opportunity were to have presented itself at this point in my life versus, 12 years ago, it would have been a harder decision to make. So I greatly respect the guys who do make that decision after they have family and, more responsibilities. I've always been able to burn the candle at both ends. Getting up early to practice cello or stay out late and play, shows with cello forte in my band. So, that's definitely a key aspect of being on the road is, it's not short days, that's for sure.
That is true.
Backstage with Mothership returns after this. Outperformance Service Family is a Solid Rock Radio business ministry partner who offers turnkey e-commerce website design, marketing, and converged technology consulting. Online at outperformancemarketing.com.
Before we talk about cello forte, give us a story or two from the stage.
There have been a lot over the years. You can't do as many shows as we have together and not seeing some pretty amazing things. I'll give you two or three that stick out. One of those amazing moments, it was kind of a weekend for us where we did Creation West Northwest, which was out at the Gorge at that point up in Washington. Just spectacular natural beauty. And then it was either the next day or the day after that, we were back in the Midwest playing one of the Franklin Graham events in St. Louis. And it was a stage that was built underneath the St. Louis Arch. It was a huge show. I think they estimated 80,000 people showed up at that event. And so it was the river right behind you, the arch over top of you, and just people as far as you could see filling the streets and the park and everything. And it was kind of an amazing juxtaposition to have had that just natural beauty, that huge natural gorge, just amazing natural amphitheater. And then you put that right next to, a man-made, pretty spectacular site, the arch, and be playing and with all of that going on. And so that was definitely a memorable weekend of shows for sure. Interesting moments I ever had on stage, actually. I know anybody who's seen me play knows that I go up and down stairs on stage a lot. And there was a show I think it was Vegas one year, and the stairs actually fell where they were connected. I was going up the stairs, and all of a sudden the stairs were coming down while I was midway up the stairs. No one got hurt. I managed to leap clear somehow.
How was your cello?
Cello was okay. There's a reason I bring a carbon fiber cello on tour, is because it doesn't break easily, and if it does, it's easy enough to call and get a replacement. So
Wow.
But yeah, that was an exciting one. And then some of the other things that are kind of amazing are the things that you see from stage in different countries. There was a show we did in Russia years ago, and it was the first time I'd ever seen somebody bring a road flare to a concert. And so they get like a circle pit going, and this guy's got a road flare just running through this circle pit with sparks flying everywhere. That was a moment where you're standing on stage kind of going, where's the exit in case I need it? And that was the same show where there was a gentleman who would walk on people's shoulders in the crowd. Those were both things that I had never seen in a show before. And so sometimes that's a pretty fun experience when you can look out and see something that you've just had never considered. Hey, I should bring a road flare to a concert today. Just never
or maybe I should bring a
mind,
fire extinguisher.
Exactly.
That is crazy.
Yeah, I think that's part of the appeal of road life. It's an adventure, and even if you're doing the same type of job every day on the road, it's in a different location, it's different people around you, so it's always different. And I think that makes it appealing to a certain type of person for sure. I mean, I love exploring different cultures and different foods and all that stuff. So I really, I do truly enjoy being on the road and getting a chance to experience things like that I don't get necessarily when I'm home, So I do love that aspect of it. And the other thing that's kind of amazing is the chance to see friends that I wouldn't normally get to see if I weren't traveling the country, 200 days a year or more. So, I mean, unless I were making a trip to Georgia for some reason, I wouldn't get to spend time with you guys.
That would be so sad.
For instance, it does actually open up, an ability to stay connected with people that you might not be connected with normally. You might not see.
Yeah.
That's pretty fun.
I've got a story that I just thought of when you were talking about crazy stories. It was at Wild Adventures, dress rehearsal, and y'all shot the pyro off, and there were like a bunch of spiders that rained down on top of everybody. And Cora and Jen were screaming.
Yep.
Do you remember that?
Story. Oh, you don't forget that.
They were big spiders. You could see them from the back of the place.
When you're going to shoot pyro for the first time at that amphitheater, you don't stand on stage for it.
God, crazy. Good times there at Wild Adventures.
Yeah, but it's always hot too. That's what I always remember about that one.
All right, I already know most of these answers, but I'm going to ask you a question. Road snacks for Skillet. Now, Jen wants anything chocolate, right?
Correct.
Cor likes Swedish fish. That's what I remember.
She does.
Doggy likes some powdered donut.
That's correct.
Okay. I think Seth likes Butterfingers.
I can't confirm that one.
Cannot confirm or deny. Okay. I'll message him later. Now, Tate, what do you like as a road snack?
It depends on whether I'm being good or bad. I think my go-to road snack is probably Sour Patch Kids. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. My guilty pleasure, Sour Patch Kids. But I am particular. I like them soft. Sometimes they're just super hard. Mm-hmm. And so every once in a while you find a bag of them that are just perfect. And so you got to keep searching until you find the perfect one.
Can you squish the package and tell whether they're right?
I'm not going to admit that I do that, but I'm sure that you could.
Okay.
Well, I don't think in the COVID's appropriate to talk about,
squeezing
that
Sour
you might
Patch.
or might not buy.
Well, if you wipe them down with a wet wipe afterwards. Okay.
Backstage with Mothership returns after this. This hour is being made possible by our business ministry partner, Anchor Bolt Express, the place for construction fasteners and a supporter of Christian music and this station. On the web at anchorboltexpress.com. Check us out on Facebook at I'm with Mothership. You're listening to Backstage with Mothership on Solid Rock Radio.
We're going to shift gears, cello forte, because I remember one year while you were touring with Skillet, you had us hand out little cards with a little cello forte thing on it. Kind of give me a timeline of cello forte. I know you started it when you were in college.
I started it, when I was in college. It was junior year or so that would have been 2003. I think our first concert was probably 2004. We played a lot up until probably, I think 08. Once I started playing with Skillet more, it started cutting into my ability to play with cello forte. But I still, even after I started playing all the shows with Skillet, I still was recording and enjoying that aspect of being able to play. So it was a live touring band for about 4 or 5 years. And as I already alluded to, I mean, playing anywhere from school assemblies to weddings, corporate events, all that kind of stuff, quote unquote, actual shows, concerts, anywhere. We'd be brought in by arts presenters. So more the classical side, because we could really appeal to both that as well as more the rock crowd. We could go amplified or acoustic only. Really, that's the really amazing thing about the cello, is it's very versatile, that you don't need the amplification. You don't need an effects pedal to get cool sounds and things to come out of your instrument. A lot of that's able to be done by just how you play it. So it was a live performing ensemble for about 4 years. And then once things started getting busy with Skillet, I put it on the back burner and really don't play a lot of live shows these days. I am actually playing in my church up here in Wisconsin this weekend, playing a couple of the Christmas songs from the Cello Forte Christmas CD. But, play once or twice a year because it's kind of hard to book with as busy as I am with other stuff.
I have a date open on Friday for 1 hour.
Yeah, it's hard to commit to something, but it's still definitely a project I love, and it's something I really enjoy is playing. And at this point, I play all the parts. So everything you hear on the Cello Forte records is me. And, I just layer it and layer it and layer it to get it to where I need it to be.
Now, I remember maybe it was 4-part harmony.
4 is, I would say 95% of what we do is 4 parts. Every once in a while, there's an arrangement that either I or my friends will have done that just needs an extra voice. Since it's basically a recording project at this point, I just take the liberty and track an extra voice if I need it. If it's going to really make a difference in the arrangement and the sound, I don't have a problem doing that.
What do you have available that people could listen to? I'm going to put the links on my blog, but you have Christmas and a Skillet.
So currently I do have a Tribute to Skillet record, the Cello Forte Tribute to Skillet record. That one came out in 2010, I believe, a couple years into my time playing. And that was 10 of, at the time, my favorite Skillet songs done all on strings. And I still love that record. And a Christmas record a couple years ago, which I think there's so many great Christmas songs, but I wanted to do something different. So all of the arrangements are brand new. No one's ever recorded them before, which is always fun. So little different take on things. Bouncing around an idea recently of doing a lullabies record. I know that I have a daughter who's now 15 months old. She listens to the Cello Forte Christmas record all the time, and so I'm feeling like it might be time to do a lullabies record, so it's a little less seasonal specific.
I think that's a great idea.
It seems to be a fairly calming influence on her. So that's in the works. I actually have a couple of more recent Skillet songs that I've been playing around with and recording. So that's one of the bonuses of extra time at home this year with the whole COVID lockdown, is obviously more time to work on side projects and play around with some songs that we might not have had a chance to work on if we were touring full time.
I have contacted you a couple of times. I had friends that were looking for someone to play cello on their albums. So you do hire yourself out to do special things?
Yep. Absolutely. I mean, it's obviously dependent upon availability, which as of right now, I do have some time available. I don't always say yes if I don't feel like I have
in your wheelhouse.
Something. Exactly. Yeah. If I don't feel like it's something that really caters to what I'm doing or what I want to be doing, sometimes I'll pass. But generally, if it's a project that I'm interested in, I'm happy to try and make it work.
Or what else do you usually do when you're not on the road? And how's that different than pandemic not on the road?
I have a lot of things that I enjoy doing. I love cooking. I do a lot of work around my house, that sort of thing. I really enjoy woodworking and building, especially as it relates to my house. So I've built custom closets and that sort of stuff. So I've been doing a lot of that, been spending tons of time with my young daughter, which has just been amazing. She's at that great age where you can really see her learn something new all the time and discover that she can do something that she never knew she could do.
They change so quickly. They learn so much so fast.
I mean, that's certainly the silver lining to all this time at home with this lockdown has been, the chance to really get amazing continuous time at home with my daughter. And obviously get to spend time with my wife has been great too. been an amazing blessing.
Just family time.
Exactly. So spending whatever time I can with family, and I work as a handyman too. Sometimes that friends of mine need work done or don't have the tools they need, I'll go help them out and just do that kind of stuff. Stay busy.
John Schlitt of Petra does that too. He's a handyman and he likes to build stuff. He's actually got a ministry around that where he goes and builds things for people.
Huh. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I should get y'all hooked up together.
That'd be fun. We could build something crazy.
Yeah.
I think the thing about working with your hands as a professional musician, I spent so many years of my life practicing music. And, I'd go into a practice room, spend 2 hours playing something and working on it. And I knew that it was getting better. But to the casual listener, they probably couldn't. When I'm working with my hands, I can work on a project and see the progress, and everybody can. So it's kind of an interesting thing for musicians to have some ability to do something very tactile.
That satisfaction having completed a project. And that's what John was saying. He enjoys that too. It's just tangible. Yeah.
And it's not necessarily, once you've completed it, you can walk away from it. Whereas just because I've learned how to play something musically doesn't mean that I can not ever touch it again and it'll still be there when I need it to be.
Yeah.
That's, I think, part of the appeal for sure.
What kind of music do you listen to when you're just on your own, in your car?
I am all over the map, honestly. Obviously, I grew up in the classical world, so I do listen to classical. Listen to a lot of folk. Nickel Creek is a just guilty pleasure band that I love. It's actually one of my musical regrets that I've never gotten to see them live. Back when they were touring all the time, I was working and playing every weekend. I mean, I was a musician, so I was playing all the time whenever they'd come to town. But I also listen to, rock. I have to stay current and see what other people are putting out. Even a little bit of country these days. About the only things I really don't listen to are rap and R&B, that kind of stuff too much. I definitely gravitate towards some acoustic stuff. So Alison Krauss and Union Station, some bluegrass. If you put my iTunes library on shuffle, it's a very interesting experience. That I listen to it all. And it just depends on my day. Playing rock all the time. Sometimes I just want to listen to something else. And sometimes that's what I want to hear,
What's your favorite Skillet song to play live?
I think Awaken Alive. It's a song that's been a part of the set for so long, but it's still so much fun to play. There's that nice slow intro to it that kind of showcases strings, and then getting a chance to go out and really engage with the crowd throughout the entirety. And it's such an iconic song for the band. It's definitely one of my favorites to play.
What's your favorite not Skillet song to play?
One of my favorite cello pieces ever written is a piece for cello and piano that was written by Rachmaninoff. It's just amazing. It's just gorgeous and rich and everything that I love about cello. And the piano part is spectacularly hard. It's one of those times that even though your pianist is supposed to be accompanying you, you're almost more the accompaniment to them. I mean, that you're more playing with them than they are playing with you in a sense. But it's one of my all-time favorite things to play. Right. It's always a pleasure talking with you, Cindy.
It's a pleasure talking to you, Tate, and I hope to see you soon out there on the road.
Yeah.
All right.
Great
bye-bye.
Night. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening tonight. Stay tuned for more great music all night long. Don't forget to check out my I'm with Mothership page on Facebook and my blog on solidrockradio.org for links to my guests' social accounts. This show will be replayed at 4 a.m. Eastern Time and will be added to the Solid Rock Radio website, archive, and SoundCloud. I pray you have a wonderful week, and remember to be kind to one another.